Gosh, dang it. Okay, I think I'm good.
How'd you break yourself?
Remember when I fell?
Yeah.
Our curtain is open. Somebody could be creeping on us. That's so creepy.
Hello, everyone outside.
Ugh.
I'm just gonna. I'll go close it real quick.
Oh, thanks. You're a baby.
Give me just a second.
Don't hurt yourself.
Okay.
No, but you remember that time that I was holding Harper and I slipped on the water and I had to go to urgent care?
Yeah.
And it gave me a shot in my thigh.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm still in pain.
Yeah. I remember. I just wanted our audience to know how you broke yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not my first run-in with bad knees this year.
Nope.
Which is not fun. It makes me feel really old.
I'm sorry.
I suddenly turned 26 and have bad knees. What is this?
I mean, it happens to the best of us.
Only when we get old.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been 26 before.
Did you have bad knees?
I still do.
Oh. Okay, I guess I feel better.
Yeah. So, hey, how's it going?
Hey, it's going pretty good.
Good.
How about you, Sir Jeffers?
I'm great. Thank you, Sir Jeffers.
Now I mean Rebecca.
No. No, I'm doing okay.
Good. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Wow, we're really talkative today, huh?
We are.
So, it's so fun getting messages from people that are catching up on our podcast that are listening to episodes we put out a few weeks ago. And it's funny because, so I talk about Alyssa a lot. So Alyssa, eventually when you do listen to this, hey, how's it going? But it's funny because she's a little bit behind, which is totally fine. But she's listening to episodes that we put out back in the middle of October.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll text me like random phrases that I said, and I'm like, wait, hold on, I know that I said that. I don't know when, I don't know why, and I don't know what the context was, but I remember saying that and I know it was funny. Anyways,
yeah,
it's just a good time. So yeah, if you know us and you're listening to our podcast, feel free to make fun of us in real time.
Yeah, and let us know so we can laugh at ourselves too.
Yeah, we need to be humbled sometimes.
Oh yeah, the whole
Especially
time.
Myles.
Exactly. I have a huge ego. It's pronounced eggo. You need a leggo. I'm just kidding.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah. I just made it up, I think.
Really?
Someone's probably said it before.
So
but
that sounds like a quote from like Rip Off Mean Girls or something. Is it the Australian version, the Down Under Mean Girls?
Yep.
Can you say it again?
Crook Sheila's.
It's
I'm just
pronounced eggo. You got a Lego. Can someone put that on a t-shirt? You know, I'll put it on a t-shirt and then I'll sell it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have your Etsy store.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, Courtney is going to make us some sweatshirts for ourselves with our logo on it.
Yeah.
So if anyone else wants one,
let us know.
it'll be on Courtney's Etsy store.
I guess you could just go buy it. You don't have to let us know, but
yeah,
that'd be fun. But yeah, I'm gonna make us some. Or make us feel important to ourselves by putting our logo on something we can wear.
Who else is gonna do it?
Woo! I still need to make postcards because we have a few listeners that we need to send postcards to.
Yep, true.
I made that promise a few episodes ago.
I do remember that.
Postcards, those are just like...
And I'm sure they do too.
Thing of the times, you know?
Yeah, true that.
I feel like you need to have a joke or riddle for me or something.
No, I didn't come up with one today because I couldn't really find... Because you know how I like to stick with the theme of what I'm going to be talking about.
Predictable.
I couldn't do...
That's okay. One. You know what? The eggo Lego thing, that was hilarious, and I'm going to live with that forever. Okay.
Do you want a fun little tidbit?
Yeah. Okay.
Or of so in Bulgaria, I was thinking about this earlier. So in Bulgaria, the word for vacuum is I can't say it now. Prohosmuskachkita, or like the vacuum. It literally means the dust sucker.
Okay, I'm gonna need you to say it real slow.
Prohosmus. I'm gonna have to look it. I'm gonna have to read it because I
thought
remember.
You spoke Bulgarian. Come on, pull it together, sir.
Shh. Prohosmukachka.
Prohosmukachka.
Prahosmukachka.
Prahosmukachka.
Close enough. I mean, I struggled to say it.
You know what I want to say? I want to say prohosmuchacha.
Yeah. You can say that too, I guess. People probably look at you funny, but...
I'm just speaking Bulgarian. Nobody has to know.
Anyways,
you got a story for me, huh?
I do have a story for you.
Yeah, let's, you want to... Is there anything else you want to say, like, before I just jump into your story? I guess before you jump into your story.
I mean, basically, same thing. Not really. No. I'm ready if you are.
Dope.
This story is actually a recommended one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Is this one recommended by your parentals?
Yes. I wanted to keep it like, yeah, we have listeners that...
We have people that send in recommendations, which we totally appreciate, Melody, but yeah.
We do. Thanks, Mom. You're
Myles
the best.
wanted it to be a little cooler than a recommendation from his mom.
What else is cooler than that, though?
Honestly, your mom's legit.
Yeah. Anyway. So, I've actually been wanting to cover this one for a while, but I was just kind of waiting a little bit just to...
For episode 13 to come along.
Yeah, 14, I think. No, 13, you're right. Never mind.
This is 13.
This is 13. I keep thinking of our listener episode as an episode.
Well, stop it.
Okay. My bad. All right. So let's set the scene.
All right. Let's
Siberia.
Siberia.
Known for extremely harsh winters.
I was going to say, it's cold, right?
A seemingly endless frozen wasteland full of wild animals, steep mountainsides, rushing white rivers, and full of icy bogs. Nearly 5 million square miles of emptiness.
So, Wyoming?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
It's bigger. It's bigger than Wyoming.
Oh, yeah. Probably less cows.
Much bigger than Wyoming. And less cows. A lot of animals, though. A lot of, like, bears and wolves and stuff like that.
Ooh.
Anyway. So, as you can imagine, a majority of the... Yes, it's very cold. But a majority of it hasn't really been... I mean, they've been explored and everything, but a lot of it hasn't been necessarily documented.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Makes sense.
But despite their harsh winters, follows a somewhat pleasant summer. But they are pretty short.
Okay.
So, anyway. But during these summers, scientists and explorers would take the opportunity to go out and survey. In 1978, a group of geologists were scoping out a region which had not been explored before.
Ooh.
They were flying over the area, and then they noticed a clearing. But since there was no record of this area, they circled around it a few times just to see kind of, what was going on. And then they saw something that they didn't expect, which was a large garden that was large enough to be seen from the air. So the size of the garden led them to believe that it was human-made, made by humans, because that's what human-made means. They eventually found a place to land and make camp, and after a couple of days, they decided to go scope out this clearings and see what was happening over there.
Okay.
So they ventured out and were baffled by what they found.
Okay.
So going back to 1924, Joseph Stalin became a leader of the Soviet Union, and his rule was notorious for its harshness to keep people obedient.
Wait, hold up. Are we talking about Joseph Stalin?
Briefly.
Okay, wait. So we went from freezing cold Siberia?
Yep.
With a random magical mystical garden that showed up, and now we're talking about Joseph Stalin.
Mm-hmm. Add a little bit of mysteriousness to it. Mystique.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I was following.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
So Joseph Stalin, he was, in 1924, he was the leader of the Soviet Union. Not the leader, a leader of the Soviet Union. And like I said, he was pretty notorious for his harsh treatment towards people under him.
Sure.
For to keep them obedient and whatever.
Right.
And this included religious persecution.
Oh.
So the persecutions got to the point where they were killing people if they didn't renounce their faith. So people were running and hiding, and they were afraid to become one of these victims. There was a man, Lykov, who was considered...
Wait. Carp.
Mm-hmm. Carp.
I was just trying to decipher your Australianness. Go ahead.
Okay. So he was what's called an old believer, which meant he practiced the religion of the fundamentalist Russian Orthodox sect.
Okay.
And these people, they were persecuted even more so than regular Christians. He had a wife, Akulina, which, to my understanding, I mean, at least in Bulgarian, Akula means shark. So I don't know if this is like related to shark. I just thought it was funny. Her name is Aquilina, though.
Aquilina.
And they, at the time, they had 2 children. They had a son, Savin, who was 9 years old, and Natalia, who was 2.
Natalia.
So they escaped Stalin. They walked over 250 kilometers, equivalent to 155 miles-ish,
Thank you.
in the Siberian wilderness.
Was it during the winter?
I don't know, actually. I tried to find that. I don't know if it was during the winter or not.
Oof, that would have been horrible.
But the summers are pretty short, like I said before, so it was more than likely it was pretty cold when they were doing this. So they, would settle in places and then, like, continue moving on. They just built, like,
Build
temporary...
campsites
Yeah,
and
exactly.
stuff like that.
And then eventually they reached this place where they thought was fine. And they settled there. And they lived a self-sufficient life for 50 years. And during that time, they had 2 more kids named Dmitry and Agafia. And each family member was responsible for a different part of their lifestyle. So the children, they had been told by their parents and their siblings, the younger ones, that there were other places, like they're called cities, that actually had other people in them. But the closest one away was about 200 kilometers. Which is about 120 miles.
Sure, yeah.
And they didn't have a car, so,
Right, this was the 1920s.
So, the youngest son, his name was Dmitry, like I said. His job was to hunt for meat. And there were times where he was away from home for days at a time. And he would sleep in freezing temperatures without shelter.
Ugh. Oh my gosh.
And he didn't have any modern equipment, so he had to rely on his own handmade traps. Basically what it did, he just, dug out traps for animals, and then he just would sit and wait out until they stopped to death, basically.
So, in today's society, when a parent has a least favorite child, they just don't post pictures of them on social media, right? Or whatever. But back then, they had a least favorite child, so they sent him out to do this.
Go hunting.
This is... Yeah, pre-Facebook era. What a world. Sorry.
Simpler times. I'm just kidding.
That was the long way of me saying, wow, they must hate him.
No, they didn't. They all got along really well, despite being...
Dang it. That would be
insane.
Horrible.
It would be horrible.
Horrible. I hate the cold.
So the family only relied on what they brought with them, and then they had, like, crude makeshift equipment that they would, repair, make things again, but they struggled with the lack of resources that they had.
Okay.
So over time, as you can imagine, it became harder and harder to accomplish their daily necessities. And when they were discovered, going back to these geologists,
so it was
like
their
in 1978.
1978. Wait, when did they leave?
1936. Yes, sorry, I didn't say that. They left in 1936. So
they
were alone
42 years.
Yeah.
Did I do the math right?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Quite a while.
42 years, just this little family of 6, which isn't that bad.
No, yeah, not bad. So when they were discovered, they were found to be only eating potato patties mixed with ground rye and hemp seeds. And despite Dimitri's skill and endurance that he gained over these multiple years of hunting and everything, their diet was pretty scarce of meat.
Well, yeah, it's like a frozen wasteland. I guess you did say there is a lot of wildlife, but...
Yeah. But there were times where, like, Dimitri, he would come back, carrying, like, deer and stuff on his shoulder. Or elk, not deer, elk. On his shoulder and stuff like that.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So in 1961, the winter lasted way up into June, which made it near impossible to grow anything in the garden, which forced them to resort to eating their shoes and bark.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So the mother, Akalina, she chose to sacrifice her share of the food for her children, and she died that year of starvation.
Oh.
And
so sad.
I know. And the rest of them were saved by what seemed like a miracle to them, which was a single grain of rye that sprouted in their garden. And the family, they protected it with their lives, like literally with their lives.
I believe
They built like little fences around it to try to keep out the mice and other rodents and stuff like that, and they just did everything to defend it. And when it was fully sprouted and everything, it gave them like 18 grains, which was enough to feed them all.
Wow.
Yeah. The first meeting that these geologists had with the family, they were greeted by the father, Karp, saying, and Karp said, "Well, since you've traveled this far, you may as well come in." And there was a lot of hesitation beforehand because, these were different people. They came in
Well, the first other people that they've seen in 40-something years.
So the group entered the cabin, and in the corner they noticed the two daughters who seemed frightened, and they also seemed to have their own little language that they would communicate with, which they described as quote unquote slow, blurred cooing.
Oh, this is creepy.
Yeah. So after the group of geologists had discovered them, they got to know them a little bit better, and they began to see that the family, despite being away from civilization for so long, they were actually quite intelligent and capable. Their mother had taught the children to read and write using the Bible, some sharpened sticks, and honeysuckle to use for ink. So pretty innovative.
Yeah.
Now, most of the family was pretty open to the different ideas and innovations, like scientific progresses that the geologists had introduced to them. The father, Karp, he was a little bit reserved, and also the oldest son, Savin, was also very reserved. He was very old-fashioned. Yeah, he was described as strong of faith, but a harsh man.
Okay.
But Karp was especially fascinated by satellites. And actually, cellophane was the thing that he thought was the most impressive thing. He's like, they made glass that crumples.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny.
Really funny.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, forget the satellites. Look at this.
So Agarthia, she was the youngest, the daughter. Well, they had two daughters. She was the youngest daughter.
Sure.
And the youngest of the kids.
Right.
So with her slow speech, the people that discovered them initially thought that she was slow-witted, but in fact she was quite the opposite. So in the Lykov family, her responsibility was to keep track of time. Mind you, they didn't have a calendar, so she would keep track of time.
Oh my
by
goodness.
herself. So pretty impressive, and she was very hardworking. It was said that she would accept any difficult challenge, which included digging out a whole new cellar by hand.
A whole new what?
Cellar.
Oh.
By hand. And she would even work after dark, and she wasn't afraid of, at all, of the wilderness around their home. And she's like, what's out there that's going to hurt me?
Wow.
Yeah.
Definitely the opposite of me.
But of all the members of the Lykov family that they met, Dmitri gained the geologist's favor. Okay. So, notably, he understood the area around them like no one else, being able to tell it's the tigers, the Siberia wilderness, the quote-unquote moods of the wilderness. Okay. And he was one of the one in the family that was most fascinated by the modern innovations that these geologists had brought with them and showed them.
Well, yeah, it sounds like, he worked really hard physically, and I'm sure that these geologists showed them ways to work smarter rather than harder.
Yes. I didn't write this down, but actually they did bring him to a nearby Soviet camp where they had a sawmill, and he thought that was the coolest thing.
Right. I mean, can you imagine? He's doing literally everything the hard way his entire life. Yeah. And now they're bringing him this new technology, saying here's what you're doing, but multiply it by 50 in half the time.
Right. Exactly. And it's kind of funny because these people for the Lykov family came from the future, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Because they come, in an airplane, commercial airplane.
Well, this reminds me so much of that one movie with Brendan Fraser. What's that movie called? Where they live
Blast from the Past.
Yeah,
that's a good movie.
It's that's literally the vibe that this is giving off.
Yeah.
Leave it to me to bring in pop culture.
Yep, that's what you're good for. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But of the technologies and inventions that the geologists brought with them, nothing fascinated the Lykov family more than the television.
Oh, I believe that.
So, as I said before, Karp was a little bit reserved when it came to new inventions.
Except for cellophane.
Except for cellophane. But he would sit directly in front of the screen for quite a while the daughter Agathia would kind of like sit in the back, and she would like take a peek, but then realize what she's doing and immediately basically pray for forgiveness.
Oh.
Because they thought they were sinning.
Oh. Mm-hmm. So Karp was just like, yeah, forget this. This is my new addiction.
Yeah, but Karp, he would also, later on in the day, would pray for forgiveness. But yeah, that was probably bad. Very old-fashioned people. So the geologists, they offered them many gifts, but like I said, Karp was pretty stubborn. And initially, he would only accept salt. Because in his words, living without it was quote-unquote true torture.
Wow.
For 40 years, living without salt.
Oh my gosh. Like,
you gotta
that
appreciate
just
the
really
little things.
Puts it into perspective.
But yeah, appreciate the little things.
I'll never take salt for granted again.
Measure with your heart. So they eventually accepted other gifts, such as eating utensils, forks, knives, spoons. They would accept pens and paper, and even an electric torch.
That escalated quickly.
Yep.
From salt to torch.
Electric torch.
Electric torch.
A flashlight.
Oh. I was thinking like a flamethrower type thing. Like imagining them in their little hut with a flamethrower.
I don't think. No, I think it said torch in what I was reading, but I'm pretty sure it means, flashlight.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. Now, tragically, the Lykov family all started to fall ill and eventually die. 3 of the 4 children all died within a few days of each other. The 2 oldest, Savin and Natalia, they died from kidney failure, likely from their diet. And Dmitry died of pneumonia, which was contracted from one of the geologists that had befriended the family.
Oh, that's depressing.
Yeah. So...
What about Karp?
Karp's still alive.
So all of his kids are dead?
Not all of them. He and Agathia were the only surviving ones.
And then that's the youngest. Yes, that's the daughter.
That's the daughter. So the geologists were pretty shook by his condition. So they tried to convince him to fly with them on a helicopter to a hospital, but he refused because he didn't want to betray his family. And his last recorded words were, "A man lives for howsoever God grants."
What?
A man lives for howsoever God grants.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is making me all depressed now.
So after the 3 children died, the geologist tried hard to convince the remaining 2, Karp and Agathia, to leave the homestead and join their relatives that had survived the religious persecutions from almost 50 years ago.
Yeah, because they left behind everything and everyone that they knew, huh?
Yep. They both, however, refused, and they built a new cabin that was closer to their old one. Karp eventually died February 1988 in his sleep, and it was 27 years to the day after his wife died.
Aww.
And the geologist assisted Agathia with the burial, but she still refused to leave her home, saying, "The Lord will provide." In more recent news, in 2016, she was actually transported to a hospital due to leg pain, and after her treatment and everything, she returned right back home.
Oh, what?
Yep. And then in 2021, the oligarchy paid to build a new cabin for her, since the other one was starting to deteriorate. And so that's where she's currently living now.
She still lives alone.
She still lives alone.
In the wilderness.
So she did have a neighbor who died back in 2015. I think it was one of the geologists, maybe.
So they were, it sounds like these geologists were pretty good about these people need civilization. And if they're not going to take it, then if they're not going to come to it, then we're going to bring a little bit to them.
Yeah. Even
if it's just like a neighbor for a little bit.
That's right.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And there was also one point where she told one of the geologists that she had married someone during one of her trips outside of the taiga. But that was all that was said about that.
Wild child.
Wild child.
Just kidding.
But yeah, that's the story of the Lykov family.
What the heck?
Pretty amazing. Tragic in the end, but like amazing what they did for
And
that
she's
long.
still alive.
Mm-hmm. As far as I know, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
She's like 78 now.
Do you have a
78?
picture of her?
I do. You want to see?
Yeah.
Or I
And
did.
we can put it on our Instagram as well. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That poor lady.
Yeah.
She never will know the joys of life. I mean, like...
The joys of life.
No, seriously, though. Like, how sad of a life is that? That... I mean, they lived without salt for 40 years. Can you... I know that's not what it's all about. But seriously, like, she's choosing this life of solitude, but she doesn't know any better. She doesn't understand what life can be like in abundance, you know, with people.
Yeah. And she was grown up in this family that, I mean, I've said it before, I said it multiple times before, but like, they were very old fashioned. Mm-hmm. They were part of a religion that hadn't changed since like 17th century.
Right.
And so they were very like, you know, very strict and everything. So in their minds, leaving that way of life was sinning.
Oh, so weird.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I shouldn't judge, but I'm judging a little.
It's different. It's definitely like a foreign idea to, you know, think to live like that.
Yeah.
Because can you imagine living in the wilderness, like just with your family? People would die, I'm pretty sure, with your family. But
Why? Because we would kill each other?
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Sure.
Well,
yeah,
if it was us, I would probably kill you.
Yeah, you probably would.
Just kidding.
I mean, we didn't even have to live in the wilderness for that to happen. Just kidding. Love you.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding.
But yeah, pretty short story, but also amazing.
No, that was... Dang.
Mm-hmm.
I just ended up feeling sorry for them, to be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Yeah, this is a pretty short episode, but that's okay. Very interesante.
We can talk about other stuff.
Like what?
I don't know.
No, I can tell you all the pop culture references that came to my head when you were talking.
Yeah, please do.
Well, obviously, we talked about A Blast from the Past.
Yep.
And then there's that one movie, like that horror movie.
The Village?
Mama?
Oh, Mama. Sure.
Is that what it is?
I mean, that is a horror movie.
It's the one where the little girls are found in the wilderness and they have their own language.
Mm-hmm.
Like creepy, creepy, creepy.
Yep.
There's that. And then, well, after that picture, I was thinking of Ice Age. That picture of the lady, because they all dress like that. She looks like she could be part of their tribe.
Have you seen the movie The Village? M. Night Shyamalan's movie? The Village?
I don't know. I don't think so.
That's a good one. We should watch that.
Is that a scary movie?
Kind of. Yeah, it has a scary theme to it. All in all, it's not that scary.
Oh, okay.
It's got like a scary vibe.
Let's watch it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I honestly, like, with all of this, I'm surprised that there is a survivor, like, still someone living from this, like, family, but it makes sense. I mean, she probably wasn't born until, like, what, you said she was in her 70s now? Mm-hmm. So, what, the 50s?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's 78, so, yeah.
Wow. Oh, the other movie that popped in my head was the one with Matt Damon, Martian? Because of the whole, they only were eating potatoes.
And that's all he ate?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
You should, that's a good one. You should watch that one.
Okay.
That one's good.
Maybe I will.
But yeah, he learns how to grow potatoes on Mars. And that's his only food for a while because he can't make anything else grow. And I think he had like an absurd amount of ketchup. So he would have potatoes and ketchup for every meal. And I watched that movie and thought, that is my true hell right there.
Yeah, Courtney hates potatoes, for those who don't know.
Yep.
They have to be cooked right and not taste like potato for her to eat them.
Well, think about it. Nobody likes potatoes if they actually taste like potatoes.
Well, like a little bit of potato flavor.
Ugh, there's
like
no flavor. It's dirt.
Like fried potatoes, though. And why do you think people like fries?
Because it tastes like fried oil and crispiness and
salt.
Salt.
Can't live without salt.
Doesn't taste like a potato.
Appreciate the little things.
People who like potato wedges are lying.
Yeah.
And don't even get me started on baked potatoes. Like, why?
Hey, Courtney, what do you think about baked potatoes? I'm just kidding. People love those.
We should talk about you and bananas, sir.
Oh, let's not. Bananas were not part of this. Bananas were not part of this episode.
Oh, my
Well, they are
favorite
now,
thing
but-
ever is that Harper eats them like candy. She loves bananas.
Yeah, not my kid. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Myles, for the story.
You're welcome. Short and sweet.
Short and sweet.
Thanks, everyone, again, for listening to our new episode today, or whenever you're listening to it. I guess whenever you are listening to it, it will be today for you. So thank you for tuning in. Also, a reminder, we are going to have some sweatshirts that Courtney is going to design for us. So if you would like to wear the Fam Damily logo on your person, just reach out to Courtney and try to find her Etsy shop.
And if you have any stories that you want us to read at our next listener's story episode, which will be December 1st, send it in to famfamilypodcast@gmail.com.
Do it.
Do it.
And also, if you have any recommendations, also send them to that for stories that you want us to cover.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Have a good night. And never fall in love with a tennis player because love means nothing to them.
I like it.